This is a story my grandfather once shared with me. Back when he was young, his village was a place where rice cultivation thrived. The village worshipped a mountain god, and every harvest season they would offer the harvested food to the mountain and conduct a ritual, praying for a bountiful harvest in the coming year. After the ritual, the food would be left on the mountain, believed to be consumed by the mountain god, ensuring a prosperous year for the crops. On one such occasion, my grandfather and the villagers were descending from the mountain after completing the ritual. Grandfather's friend, Taro, struck up a conversation. "Hey, did you see the food we left up there?" Taro asked. "Yeah, I saw it," replied my grandfather. "There was pork and chicken too. It just seemed like a waste to leave it there," Taro said. "That's the mountain god's food. We shouldn't touch it," cautioned my grandfather. "But we haven't had meat for months. Let's sneak up later and have some," Taro suggested. "No! Doing that would bring a curse upon us. Besides, we're not allowed to enter the mountain until we bring back the empty dishes tomorrow. It's the day the god descends," warned my grandfather. "There's no such thing as a mountain god, you fool. It's just the wild animals in the mountain eating the food. Let's sneak up tonight and enjoy a feast," Taro insisted. "Is that so?" Grandfather felt a bit uneasy, but hunger eventually led him to agree. In those days when food was scarce, resisting the temptation of meat was difficult. That night they climbed up the mountain. Since it was strictly forbidden to enter the mountain on the night of the ritual, there was no one around. As they ascended, they spotted a table set with the leftover food. Excitedly, my grandfather and Taro rushed toward the food and began devouring it. However, in the midst of their frenzied eating, my grandfather heard a sound approaching from the forest. He paused, glancing into the woods. The sound grew louder, and they could make out what seemed like the footsteps of an animal. Taro, still engrossed in the food, didn't notice, but fear paralyzed my grandfather. After a moment, something emerged from the woods. It was a large, hairy creature with deer antlers on its head. Strangely, it had a face of a human baby. Grandfather, frozen with terror, couldn't even scream. It was indeed the mountain god. The creature suddenly spoke.
"Hungry."
The words were barely audible, but it was the voice of a human. Even Taro, still oblivious, looked up in surprise at the sound. Suddenly, the creature lunged at them. Grandfather screamed and fled. Taro also ran but couldn't escape. Grandfather, exerting all his strength, ran down the wooden path. He could hear Taro's screams from behind. Taro had fallen victim to the mountain god. Grandfather hid behind a tree, witnessing the gruesome scene. The creature was holding Taro with both hands, chewing on him from head to toe.
Tasty, tasty,"
it mumbled continuously. Grandfather, screaming in horror, descended the mountain. The next day, the villagers went up the mountain in search of Taro. And there, they found Taro's bones lying where the food had been offered. Taro's family wailed in grief. The following year, the harvest was unusually plentiful, they say.